No, there's not a huge housing market crash like what the media is trying to portray. Maybe there will be one if everyone keeps listening to them and just stops buying and selling altogether. But who knows? As of today, towards the end of May 2022, people are still buying and selling. There's just a slight shift going on. And what we want to pay close attention to, and the cause of a majority of this is the rates are now surpassed the 5.75% range and fluctuating sometimes even up to the 7% depending on what your credit and DTI might be. But the other data that we want to pay attention to is our MSI. The monthly supply of inventory as of April 2022 was in the past the 1% range, which it hasn't happened in quite some time, and it's just simple supply and demand. The more inventory there is and the less demand out there due to the rates increasing, the buyer pool shrinking, is just going to shift the market a little bit and just eventually start balancing out. What's going on? Tane the Digital Realtor here, aka The Handler, aka your favorite Hampton Roads Realtor. Thanks for tuning in today. Today, we're going to be going over April 2022 Hampton Roads real estate market update, and it's going to be a good one. But before we dive into it, please hit the thumbs up button if the audio quality is good, and as well the lighting and camera to this video is good, so this way I know that I'm using the right setup. And as well, if you find this information valuable, please consider subscribing and as well ringing the notification bell. This lets YouTube know that I'm providing value to you guys, and as well, most importantly, it spreads the message across with others, because I do this for absolutely free, so that would be greatly appreciated. And as well, comment down below if you have any thoughts, feedback. I would love to chat, see what's going on, what other people's thoughts are. But let's dive right into this. So keep in mind, this is all data provided by our local MLS REIN, Real Estate Information Network. All right, and this is all data for April 2022. And what we saw in comparison to year over year for 2021 was a 15% decrease in our active listing. I guess close to 16 pretty much, 15.69. And we also saw pending sales decrease by 13.9, close to 14% in comparison to 2021. We saw our settled sales also take a hit, close to 12% decrease year over year in comparison to 2021. And new construction sales decreased by also 10%, 10.45, which is pretty much close to 11%, right? And our median sales price is the only thing that's increased, which makes sense. Less inventory and demand being there, sales prices will increase, and that increased tremendously by 12.25%. So we're floating in the the April 2022 319,900. In April 2021 it was at 285,000. However, this can be quite deceiving to consumers at times, because this is what's called a lagging indicator, right? This is past data. So April sales prices was caused by the market in January to March timeframe, where the rates and as well the buyers that were out there that were searching, right? And what I mean by that is because settled sales typically takes 35 to 45 days. Sometimes in this kind of market, you also have the whole rent back situation happening from the seller's aspect of it. So that's why I mean that it's actually affected by the January to March timeframe, your April data, and that's a lagging indicator. What we want to pay close attention to is our leading indicators, such as our active inventory, the pendings, and as well our days on market. And as I was mentioning to you guys, our MSI has actually increased and is past the 1% mark now. And to give you guys a comparison, in April 2021 it was at 1.27, which is still quite low for a balanced market, but back then what was happening was it was such low inventory, and as well the rates were super low, so which led to the insane market that we had. But now that the rates are increasing and as well our MSI is increasing, what that should tend to do is shift the market a little bit to where it starts balancing out, and eventually it will become a fully complete balanced market. And that's just simple supply and demand. So if you're a seller out there and you're thinking about selling, just keep in mind that the data that you're working with, the past sales, are all lagging indicator, and listen to your professional that's giving you some insights on what's going on in the market, the things that behind the scenes that you don't see, such as mortgage companies firing people due to the lack of applications that they're having, conversations between real estate agent groups where people are talking about less showings, less offers than what we are used to, and as well the MSI. That's the leading indicator to give you an idea of where the market's going to. And this isn't saying that you've missed the boat completely in regards to hot sales market. It's still hot in my opinion, but it wasn't as how it was 6 months ago, right? Or even less, right? Because the rates have jumped tremendously since January. So yeah, I hope all this information helps. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. As you just saw in this video, this market is absolutely insane right now here in Hampton Roads. If you're a seller that's thinking about selling within the next year or 2 years, let's chat, let's plan out your next move and see if it makes any sense at all for us to possibly even work together. But most importantly, see if it makes any sense at all for you to even consider selling. Comment down below or reach down at the contact information below to see what we can do to help out.